Old bikes, like old friends, hold special memories. They don't make them like they used to, and that's why I love old bikes. In the hands of an enthusiast, an old bike becomes a timeless treasure. Old bikes have a soul that newer models can't replicate. With age, old bikes gain character and charm. An old bike may have some rust, but it's the kind of rust that tells a story. Old bikes aren't outdated. They're classic and timeless. Riding an old bike feels like stepping back in time. Vintage bikes are a testament to the craftsmanship of a bygone era. An old bike is a reminder of simpler times and a connection to the past. Old bikes have a way of making you feel young at heart. In a world of modern machines, there's something magical about an old bike's simplicity. Old bikes age gracefully, just like fine wine. You can't buy happiness, but you can ride an old bike, and that's pretty close. An old bike is like a cherished piece of history you can ride. Old bikes are like antiques. Their value only increases with time. Old bikes have a wisdom that comes from decades of road experience. Vintage bikes have a special allure that never fades. An old bike's patina tells a story of adventures past. Old bikes may not be the fastest, but they have a soul that touches the heart. Riding an old bike is like taking a nostalgic journey through time. There's something romantic about the vintage charm of old bikes. Old bikes are like vintage jewels that shine on the open road. An old bike's engine purrs with history and memories. Old bikes remind us of the roots of motorcycling and the pioneers who rode them. In a world of mass-produced machines, old bikes stand as unique and individual. Old bikes are like works of art. They're meant to be admired and appreciated. An old bike is like a loyal companion that never goes out of style. Vintage bikes carry the spirit of a bygone era, evoking nostalgia and wonder. Old bikes have a way of transporting you back to a simpler and happier time. An old bike is like a vintage melody that lingers in your soul. Riding an old bike is like dancing to an old song you love. Vintage bikes may be old, but they're never out of fashion. An old bike's charm lies in its timeless elegance and grace. Old bikes remind us that sometimes the old ways are still the best ways. Riding an old bike is like writing a love letter to the past. Vintage bikes carry the legacy of generations of riders who came before us. An old bike's beauty is in its well-earned wrinkles and scars. Old bikes may be weathered, but their spirit remains indomitable. Riding an old bike is like traveling through time without leaving the present. Vintage bikes hold the secrets of history, waiting to be discovered by new riders. An old bike's engine roars like the echoes of past adventures. Old bikes are like fine wine. They get better with age. Riding an old bike is like breathing new life into the past. Vintage bikes are a testament to the enduring craftsmanship of their creators. An old bike's legacy lives on through the passion of its riders. Old bikes have a timeless appeal that transcends generations. Riding an old bike is like carrying a torch of tradition on the open road. Vintage bikes capture the essence of a bygone era, frozen in time. An old bike's history is etched into every inch of its metal and leather. Old bikes carry the whispers of the past on the wind as they ride. Riding an old bike is like a tribute to the pioneers who paved the way. Vintage bikes are a bridge that connects us to the motorcycling heritage. An old bike's character grows stronger with each passing mile. Old bikes may have some wear, but it's a testament to their endurance. Riding an old bike is like a pilgrimage to the roots of motorcycling. Vintage bikes are the keepers of tradition and the guardians of memories. An old bike's engine sings a song of freedom and adventure. Old bikes are like the guardian angels of riders, protecting them through time. Riding an old bike is like a dance of harmony between man and machine. Vintage bikes are relics of the past that still breathe life into the present. An old bike's ride is like a whisper from the past, guiding you forward. Old bikes are like vintage postcards from forgotten places. Riding an old bike is like unlocking a time capsule of motorcycling history. Vintage bikes are the ambassadors of a classic era of riding. An old bike's spirit is passed down from rider to rider, enriching their journey. Old bikes are like old friends. They always make you feel welcome. Riding an old bike is like sailing on the winds of nostalgia. Vintage bikes embody the romance and adventure of the open road. An old bike's engine purrs with the harmony of past and present.